Hi, my name is Alessandro, and I'm the founder of Guided Light Healing, and I want to welcome you to our brand new series on relationships. Now, before we can get into the whole ins and outs of relationships, the very first thing we need to do today is we need to understand is what is the actual purpose of a relationship. We all want relationships so bad. We all want to meet our soulmate. We all want to meet the right person. We want to be a power couple. We want to have somebody who's there for us when things are tough. And we have a million reasons why we want the perfect relationship. But when it comes down to it in our education, none of us are ever taught the do's and don'ts of relationships. None of us are ever taught how relationships actually work on a scientific level and spiritual level. What are relationships actually for? This is what we're going to start to get into in this mini series. And this is going to blow the doors off of anything you guys know out there about relationships. And you guys are going to absolutely love this. And in knowing this, we're going to start to get the mind out of the way. We're going to start to lower expectations and raise expectations in other areas. And basically what we are going to do is we're going to fully understand how we benefit, what relationships can offer us. And this is where things start to get good. Now, the very first thing we have to understand is the soul, it has a consciousness. It is made up of light, and all light in science is said to have vast amounts of information. So wherever the soul was before this, whatever your belief system out there, it doesn't matter. It all basically is supportive of this information. But basically, the soul being made of light has information. And we also, the more you explore the whole spiritual world, you're going to find that the soul has a consciousness. It has wants, it has needs, and it also knows a ton of information. And whether it was from other physical experiences, and for some of you out there, you may refer to past lives, and other people out there watching, our energy that animates our body was actually in other places, not in this physical place before it got into this. It's also safe to say that the only thing that is most important to the soul is the experiences, because when we get to the end of our road with our physical bodies and we're getting ready to transition to something else, we don't really have a recollection of our past lives, of our past experiences. So the information that and the experiences that we had over this time, the good, the bad, the hurts, that stuff is a little less relevant to the soul as far as being proud of itself or not being proud of itself. What more is important to the soul is that it gets to grow and it gets to expand. All energy wants to expand and grow and become bigger than itself. Because if it doesn't, it's going the other way. It's diminishing and essentially it's dying. So each soul has a deep need to be growing, to evolve, to become bigger. Basically, the soul wants to come here and expand and grow, but now it has no memory of how or what it wanted to accomplish in this lifetime. So this is where come these external factors that are going to start to shape and start to guide the soul on its journey to expand, to grow, to become what it chooses to be at the end of this experience. One of the things that the soul has, it does not have its memory, but what it does have is these guideposts. And one of the big guideposts that souls choose more than not is to be guided by relationships. Basically, the very first thing, sort of the science of relationships and the perspective that the soul holds towards relationships is that relationships are not, contrary to popular belief, they are not about the happily ever after. And this is unfortunate because we've all been sold on these fairy tales after fairy tales, and it's been brainwashed and ingrained in its neural pathways in the brain that relationships are about happily ever after. And if you meet your soulmate, it is going to be this amazing thing. Relationships are not for the happily ever after. Relationships are actually to help us to grow and evolve in ways that we cannot grow and evolve on our own. Our challenges aren't really that high when we're not interacting with another person, and we tend to fall into complacencies. What the soul wants on a daily basis is to be expanding, to grow and evolve. And it best finds this through the interactions of other people. So now when we have another person in our life who is some sort of complement to us, is in some sort of agreement with us to be around, what now happens is first and foremost, we are now each other's teachers. We now, through obstacles, are going to start to teach each other to be more patient. Well, how are we going to teach more patience? Well, if our person wakes up, they didn't get enough sleep because you were tossing and turning. If you're like me, maybe you talk in your sleep, maybe not. And maybe you were driving your person crazy a little bit. Now what's happening is you are teaching your partner to exercise and have more patience. So they wake up, they're tired, and their patience is really thin. And now you somehow, some way, inevitably trigger them this morning. And what you are doing on a soul level is you are teaching them to be in control of their emotions, to not take something out on you. And this is where the soul starts to expand and grow. So the very first thing I want all of you out there watching today is I want you to forget what you know about relationships. I want you to go back to being 3 years old, 4 years old, and not have any preconceived ideas of anything and go, all right, let me temporarily put everything I know on hold about relationships, because realistically, I'm not where I want to be in my relationships right now anyway. So it's safe to say some of the information, some of the tools, some of the rules I have according to relationships, yeah, they probably are getting in the way of my relationships. Great. I'm going to put all that aside. Everything here that you're telling me is tried and true, because it is. Tens and tens of thousands of people have had the most amazing lives brought about from these principles, tools, and rules and understandings. Let me put that stuff aside right now. And let me give this a shot. Let me at least take this all in and see what it starts to change in my thoughts, my patterns, and behaviors. Today is about reprogramming the ideas of what we thought relationships are here for us. The bigger idea, the bigger concept, and what is so much truer probably than what most of us out there know, is that relationships are here to assist the soul in expansion and growth. That is the first and foremost important thing about relationships. The happily ever after, it's not off the table. We are still going to have access to this, but it is a secondary of satisfying the criteria of the first thing, of satisfying what a relationship is here to do, to help us grow, to help us expand, to help us reach higher levels of consciousness. Because when we live alone, we are not motivated. We are not in obstacles at the level of having somebody 24/7 be in our face, teaching us to be patient, teaching us to slow down, teaching us to be a better talker and communicator. These are all things we can't do alone, and the soul knows this. So it sets up these agreements, these contracts, so to speak, to have certain other brilliant, bright souls in your life, some who are going to trigger you, some who are going to be very challenging. And the more triggering and challenging the relationship is, the more you're going to expand, the more you're going to grow. So today, the very first thing is, I want you to say to yourself the idea that, yeah, maybe I have been sold a little bit on a fairy tale, and maybe I have some false perceptions of what I think a relationship should be. And what if relationships are here to help me to expand, to grow, and everything else that I'm hearing today? Well, that's going to change things a lot. That means that when an obstacle starts to arise, you're going to start to look at it more from a helicopter point of view and go, wait a minute, is this argument going to give me new tools? Is it going to push me to be better? Is it going to push me to be more patient? Is it going to push me to be a better communicator, or to word my words better, or to not let my emotions get the best of me? You better believe it. That is the sole purpose of relationships. First and foremost, there are incredible forces at play in relationships that most people are completely unaware of. And then for some of you out there watching, I'm sure you've heard of the different concepts that we're going to start to get into in this course. But for today, all I want to start with is the idea that relationships aren't first and foremost to be easy breezy and happily ever after. It's in the challenges. It's through the obstacles. It's choosing a partner who can force us to adapt, to grow, and to become better. This is what the soul has invested in a good partnership. And I don't mean a good partnership in which we never argue. I mean a good partnership that is going to cause us to expand, to grow. And at the end of this lifetime, as we choose to move on from the physical form, we're going to take so much knowledge, so much understanding, and so much expansion. And that is what the soul wants. So for this week, enjoy this, start to reprogram that brain, start to form some new neural pathways, start to push away the limiting, and I call it limiting information because so many people out there get disappointed and discouraged when they find their soulmates, when they find their soul complements, and it's not great. It's actually very turbulent and very hard and all these other things. We're going to talk about this in later videos. But for right now, I want you to push away everything you think you know about relationships and start fresh. You can sort through the information later on, and as you guys have experiences with this, you'll gravitate towards the stuff that really, really works for you and is really changing your life. So for right now, just get that kid-like dependency, that kid-like awe and want to learn, and take in as much of this as you can, because I'm really looking forward for you guys to join this. Also, what is also going to make this series amazing is share your experiences, share your questions, email all this stuff in so that we can start to answer this stuff and to really get everyone on board with this. We also have this amazing resource group that each and every single one of you out there who catch this video should join. This is a perfect free place to ask your questions to what I believe to be the most remarkable intuitives and healers in the world who are here to help you guys. The next episodes are going to be absolutely incredible and something you don't want to miss. I want to thank you guys for joining today. My name is Alessandro. I'm the founder of Guided Light Healing, and I'll see you guys back next week for episode 2 of our relationship series. Thank you.